Hey, how goes it?
Rusty, I'll call you back, buddy.
Welcome to Bar Mills
Right
Live.
now, I'm live on YouTube.
Welcome to Bar Mills Live. Um, January 3rd. January 3rd. Actually, today's my daughter's birthday. Happy birthday to my daughters. Anyway, let's get to why you're really here. I always start the show off with some customer photos. Last month, we kind of did a wrap up of the year, so we really didn't have very many customer photos. This time, start of the new year, I've got a ton of them for you. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. Now, I've got multiple scales. If you're familiar with this, we bring a photo up, we tell you who sent us the photo, what the photo is, and generally the scale, as long as I have that information, which I believe I have tonight. First up is a longtime, many-time contributor, Dan Lutz, and he has an HO scale Potter's Pub. If you're familiar with this kit, it's been around for a while. Almost a decade ago. This was part of something called the Cundy Village, and then shortly after, we released it as a standalone structure with a few of the structures in that kit. Again, Dan is a wonderful modeler, amazing work, always sends, really great photos. Really, really good job, Dan. As always, good job. Next, we have a Jeff DeVito. I apologize if I'm messing that up, but I think my phonetics are right. I've got two photos here from Jeff. The first one is, let me see here. This is the Majestic in HO scale. Again, if you're familiar with this kit, it's been around almost as long as I have. Pretty long time. Wonderful job. At this point, we really don't see a whole lot of the Majestic, as far as customer photos. So if you've built a Majestic in N scale, HO, S scale, this even comes in S scale or O scale, certainly send us a photo. We'd love to see it. As many as we can. Let's see here. Next, our second one from Jeff is, let me pull up this is Homer Seed and Feed. Homer Simpson Seed and Feed. This is an HO scale structure. This was one of the original Bar Mills basics. If you remember those from, a long time ago. Everything seems decades ago. Getting really old. Anyway, this is one of the original Bar Mills Basics series structures. This is a 4 by 2.5 inch structure, kind of a 2-night job. It's essentially the idea behind these structures was, well, start out small, learn all your basic techniques, and then apply those techniques to larger structures. We do still have some of the basics. I believe this one is still available as well. And then, we've kind of branched out to other things, other smaller structures. But again, great job, Jeff. Don't be afraid to send us photos. Next up, we have John Cortez. John sent us a Hinkles. This, if I'm not mistaken, is O scale. We do offer this in S scale as well, if you're interested. But this is one of the first really, really small O scale structures we did. We have something called the Shack Pack, which is kind of 3 smaller structures in a structure kit. But this is very much a standalone small structure. Not everybody has a whole lot of room, but some people have just a little bit of room where you need just a little itty bitty structure. And that's kind of where this plays into. Another kit that we really don't get to see a whole lot of photos. Certainly, if you built this kit, I personally would love to see it. Even if you built it in S scale. Why not? Send it along. Next, we have, let's see here, Mike. This is the TJ Riley's. Let me see here if I have the scale. Well, I don't have the scale on this. It looks to be HO scale. I know the differences. Most people would too, right? Mainly the windows.
Excuse me, Lenny.
Yes.
This is a modeler from Poland.
Yes. As the gentleman that's not here yet just mentioned, this is Michael from Poland. We love to see the international fans send us photos. Most people think, well, models are just here. Modelers are everywhere. And, depending on where you're from, you may have an entirely different perspective. So it's always great and exciting to see, someone from overseas, Australia. We have a lot of customers from Australia. We love to see the different, different ideas and different perspectives from all over the world. So if, you happen to be awake in Russia right now watching this, send us your photos. Let's see here. We have a lot of mics tonight. Next is Mike Poirier. I'm probably butchering that. This is the Cigar Corner. I'm sure everyone is familiar with this. This was our limited run Christmas structure kit diorama from 2 years ago. Not this past Santa Claus, but the one before that. We're going to be discussing one of the structures in this larger diorama tonight. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I always love to see these built as the diorama as it was originally, purchased or sold. A lot of modelers will buy a large diorama like this and kind of use the structures here and there wherever they can fit them. But it's always nice to kind of see a modeler take it to where we did, to a certain extent, but adding kind of their own flair to it. And as you can see, Mike has added a lot of flair here. Wonderful job, Mike. Our third Mike in a row, actually, this is Mike and Mary. Let's see here. Another larger Christmas diorama that we did. This is the Delancey Street. This one here is honestly one of my personal favorites that we've done over the past, there's that word again, decade. Mainly because I fell in love with the movie theater. If you're familiar with this, this diorama, this offering that we did, we had never done anything like this particular movie theater before. There's so much detail, the sign, all the many different things that you can do with the whole diorama. Honestly, it's as a fan of old time radio, I could envision my HO scale self walking down the street of Delancey Street and, popping in for a movie or, grabbing a burger at Ruby's. Again, one of my more favorite, and I'm sure yours too, favorite dioramas that we've done as of late. Let's see here. I think we've got a theme. This is Mike Phillips. Now this, hopefully you're familiar with, this is a Jonas Casket Company from our most recent Christmas kit, this Santa Claus. This is the structure to the very left. If you kind of take a closer look at the photo, you'll actually see the printing/painting building there on the end. This is a diorama or structures that we have not seen a whole lot of yet. We've seen a couple filter in. So as you build these, certainly send us photos. We would absolutely love to see them. Put attention me and I'll wink, wink, make sure it gets in here. Would love to see some more photos. But again, Mike, another Mike, you did a great job. Looks really good. Really good. I can't wait to see the rest of the diorama. Next up, we have Mike Pointer. This is the HO scale Curry's Mercantile. I always get this structure a little confused with Dunphy's, even so they don't look anything alike. Kind of like Schwarzenegger and DeVito in Twins. Very different, but they were released around the same time. And where my head is always in production, that's kind of where where my mind goes. But anyway, this is the HO scale Curry's. Somewhat of a large structure for HO scale. We've gotten a few of these photos. Again, Mike, you did a wonderful job here. I'd like to kind of see the rest of what you got going on there. But again, awesome job. Love to see it. Next up is a structure that, it's been around a long time. Again, almost as long as I have. But it's not one that we really see a whole lot of photos of anymore. This structure actually stood, I mean, not that far from where we're at here in Bar Mills a long time ago. There were some liberties taken, but the real structure that actually stood in real life was very similar to this. And this is a structure that once I pull it up on the screen, you'll probably, oh, I remember that one. It's a unique structure with a unique shape that in real life was built to fit a very small, unique plot of land. What I'm referring to is Rusty's Radiator. Again, this isn't a structure that we really get a whole lot of photos for anymore, just because it's been around a long time. And, like I said, it is kind of like a unique structure. If you're looking from the top down, it's almost kind of like a triangle that's had too much wine. It's just kind of a funny shape, but you can get really creative. And again, it's another one of those structures that, you don't have a whole lot of land. You got a little bit of area, say 5 inches by 4 inches, and you want to stick something in there, but you don't know what to do. This is one of those structures that is really perfect for that. Let me pull up another photo of that. And this is HO scale. This was sent in by Ryan Kunkel. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that properly. Take a look at the weathering on the side of this structure. Look at that door. Fantastic. If I was HO scale, I would be walking through that door and in love. Really wonderful job, Ryan. Certainly send us some more photos. I would love to see it. Let's see here. Got another long time, many time. Scott Chartier. And this is the Dollies. If you remember a few minutes ago, I was talking about the Potter's Pub. This is one of those structures that originally was released in the Cundy Village diorama. Again, this is one of those structures that later on became a standalone structure. Funny story, Dolly's is actually a real place. The structure isn't a real place, but the name, I grew up in near Ocean City, Maryland. Some of you guys may be familiar with that. Mid-Eastern Atlantic, right on the beach. And Dolly's was a place where I went as a kid to, rot my teeth out. Their sugar candies were the absolute best. Now things have moved, but anyway, that's where the inspiration for the name of this structure came from. So if you ever in Maryland, or actually I think New Jersey at this point too, hit up Dolly's and get some awesome candy. Next up, we have Scott Kramer. Let's see what Scott sent in. Another version of Dolly's. Wow, I tell you, we got all kinds of themes tonight. Mike's and Scott's and Dolly's. Now, if you'll notice the way that Scott Kramer did his version of Dolly's, this is actually a waterfront structure out on a pier. I'm not sure we've ever had anybody put this on a waterfront before, and send us a photo. Looks great. Again, if you've done Dolly's, certainly send us a photo, or any of the other Cundy Village series structures. Certainly send them. We'd love to see them. I've got one more photo for you tonight, and this was kind of a late addition. This is Steve Shantz. I apologize if I'm butchering that. This is a fairly recent structure. This is if I'm not mistaken, this is the HO scale version of the Jerry's Small Engine Repair. This came out about 2 years ago. Between let's see, March, April, May of 2020, we actually released. We kind of went back to our foundation. When we first started releasing structure kits, they were very modeler friendly. We really weren't putting out large dioramas. They were more, something you would find on your hobby store shelf. And, that's kind of where we went back to. We released quite a few structures during that 6-month period. Jerry's, the Springfield, quite a few different structures. And this happens to be one of those. Now, this structure is available in N scale, HO scale, and O scale. Awesome in either scale. Again, it's one of those structures that you've kind of got a little bit of area, but you kind of want to, really tell a story. This is an absolute, perfect addition for that type of area. So generally, whenever we do these photos, we always pick a name out of a hat. And tonight, we're going to do the same. The winner of tonight's contest will get a $50 gift certificate. So you'll have 2 weeks to give us a call at the shop, send us an email, singing telegram, however you want to get a hold of us. Let us know, hey, my name's so-and-so, and I would like to take you up on that $50 gift certificate. And again, you've got any photos, certainly send them to us. We'd love to see them. Try to make sure that, they're, we can actually tell what's in the picture, but certainly send us. And you know what, even if you just want to call up and say hi, you know what, wait till February, because right now we're pretty busy getting ready for Springfield. More on that later. But anyway, let's pull a name out of the hat. Let's see here. Let me grab my hat here. Tonight's winner is Ryan Kunkel. Ryan, if you're watching tonight, I'm not sure if you are. I can't see that part right now. If you're watching tonight, give us a call at the shop tomorrow, and we'll get that $50 gift certificate right out to you. Now that I'm done, let's head over to the real people you're waiting for.
All right, here we are. One of us is real, one of us a little bit unreal. Anyhow, Jack Ellis, Artie Fahey. And by the way, Lenny mentioned about the contest tonight. Just to reiterate, it is not a contest. It's just a sharing of the hobby, sharing of some ideas and some approaches. And Ryan Kunkel, congratulations. It could have been anybody. I've seen a lot of familiar names tonight. Welcome to the very first edition of First Mondays. I'll tell you right off, we are not going to have a First Monday in February. I'm going away, Jack. They're taking me away. Anyhow,
are you leaving the country?
I am leaving the country.
You ain't getting back in.
I'm leaving the country. I'm going to be going to Mexico City with Nancy for a few days right after Springfield wraps up. And then Lenny has a vacation coming, so we will be tied up, and especially since February is not exactly the longest month. And so we will be back in March with this. So if you haven't built anything lately, here's your chance to do just that. If anyone has any suggestions as far as our sound or picture quality, we are trying to absolutely up the game. We have new microphones tonight, and hopefully that helps move things along. I see we have a lot of folks here. Ron Scannell, Steve Moskin, Digger Evans. That's Digger in the Life of Riley. There was a Digger Odell. Okay, so I don't know any relation in the old Life of Riley show with William Bendix. And we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Tonight, Jack showed up almost a little late. What were you up to today, Jack?
I had to work.
Doing what?
We were doing ski racing today.
Ski racing?
Yeah, I had to do some ski racing. Lots of fun, but lots of work.
Lots of cold. Today was, I don't know what it is now.
No, it wasn't bad. It wasn't too bad today. As long as you don't have to stand around, it's not bad.
Now, we have a very full agenda tonight. We have a very special guest, John Sacerdoti, the big honcho in Amherst, is going to tell us, when I say Amherst, I mean the Springfield show. He's going to talk about the show, what you're going to see, maybe what you're not going to see. He'll be coming up shortly. In the interim, not only are we way behind on production at this point, but we are introducing 2 new kits. I'll say new. One of them is actually an extraction from last year's Cigar Corner kit. We've had so many people ask, and of course not everybody buys $350 kits, but we are going to be featuring in the next issue of Railroad Model Craftsman another nice size ad that's going to feature not 1 or 2, but actually 3 new offerings. And what makes these special, you will find out. The first offering, and Lenny, do we have it up on screen? We're actually going to show you the ad that you'll be seeing in what will be the March issue of the February issue of Railroad Model Craftsman. And you'll see there the downtown garage that we lifted off of our own Cigar Corner kit, which was actually lifted originally from George Celios. And that will be available in HO scale, which it originally was. If you have the Cigar Corner kit, you're not going to need another one of these, but it's also going to be available in O scale and N scale. Now, we don't have all the prices on this yet, but we do have the price on the HO scale kit. It's $79.95, and we're going to be doing a little special on it. and it's available actually for shipping right now. We got ahead on this one a little bit, and we are offering a set of figures with it. Lenny, do we have a little extra? And we'll come back to this. Len's going to call something up on the screen here. Woodland Scenics, which has been a very difficult company to deal with lately because they are the best of the best, but they get so many things from overseas. We've had a lot of trouble getting figures, but what you're seeing there is the gas station attendant set. And that set goes for $22.95. If you purchase the Downtown Garage, you will only pay, and it's an option, you don't have to buy them, you will only pay $5 for them. I don't know how long we can do this because quantities are limited. Jack, what do you think about all of that?
Well, I like the guy that's laying down. Maybe I get that job.
That's a good job for you.
I like it. Yeah, laying down looks good.
Yeah, that's Lenny's job.
That's a bunch of people. You're going to get a lot for $5.
Well, we
One,
got to
two,
get
three,
back to
four,
the
five,
the
six.
2-page ad again, and the other kit that you'll see in that ad. There are actually 2 other kits. The one on the right is Clark's Wood Products, which you may have seen us talking about from time to time. We're expecting to get that out in short order, and we've already prototyped not only the HO one, which you can see in the photo, but also we are working on both an N scale and an O scale version of that. That will come out after Downtown Garage. If you want to order Downtown Garage, you can actually go to our website tonight and order it, and it'll be shipped immediately, just so as you know. Also, down on the lower right, you will see a telephone pole. We have come up with not one, but 3 different kits because we are offering that in HO and in O scale. An assortment of 8 telephone poles, Craftsman telephone poles with details, not the stringy lines because I don't use them, and most of us aren't too comfortable having that kind of delicacy on our layouts. But that will be also offered sometime in late February or March, and all of these will be featured on the February cover date. February cover date of Railroad Model Craftsman. Also, if you notice, there is a picture of the Bar Mills catalog. And I've got to tell Jack, we've had some great response from that,
From the catalog? Yeah.
Yeah. No, matter of fact, we've had such good response that we've had a couple nice comments from folks that maybe we don't really talk to all that much. Jeff Grove from Carolina and Jimmy Dignan wrote some very nice things, and I'm wondering if they've been talking to my doctor because this is a little uncharacteristic that people are this nice, but people seem to be enjoying this. If you don't have the catalog, it was available in the December issue of Railroad Model Craftsman. It'll also be included in many of our kits as you order them, either directly or through retailers. It just takes a little while to catch up. And we also will have some at the Springfield show coming up to give out. Also, notice something new in this ad. You will see some series of not 1 or 2 but 3 barcodes. Something new. If you have a smartphone, you don't have it. You don't have a smartphone, do you?
No, the phone's not smart at all.
Yeah, he does. Jack is actually like 10 years behind. If you have a smartphone and you can read a scan like you do in a restaurant sometimes, each of the photos has a barcode near it, and you'll be able to not only look at the photos and get some information, but you'll also be able to watch me in a short video about each of the kits, so you'll be able to look at the picture. Yeah, I'm going to frighten them away. Now, if they're lucky, they don't have a phone.
Give them
But
something.
anyhow, we included these, and you'll see that more and more in our upcoming publications, either in catalogs or in ads, that you're going to be able to look at a kit and find out more about it through a short video. So that's what's going on with new stuff. Do we have any questions? I don't know. It's Bar Mills. Will you be at Amherst? Absolutely. Will there be any show deals? Sometimes we have little things that we have on clearance, but we don't discount our kits because we have resellers and we don't believe in cutting them. It's not fair to them. They have to feed their families too. However, such as in the case of the gas station, that is strictly a Bar Mills exclusive, available through what we call Bar Mills Direct. So yes, I guess there are some deals, but we don't advertise them in that respect.
We'll have some of the Woodland Scenics too, and that's still at 20% off, right?
Yeah, we do offer. Yeah, at Springfield we do sell Woodland Scenics, which is, by the way, very hard to get these days. Digger Evans, hello from it can't be Human City Junction.
You got Pan Pastels to take this?
Pan Pastels, we have the assortments of Pan Pastels to bring with us. Yes.
So those are they're discounted too.
And it says Ron Scannell says, love the catalog in the December Craftsman. And Todd Bryan, thank you, Todd. Everything looks and sounds good. We actually tried a couple different cameras, and I think we're back to the original, but the sound system is new. So Let us know if there's any issues with that. Any questions on your end?
Oh,
Whoa, they're just going by. Hey, Clark Cooning says, hey, the code works from right off the screen.
right off the screen. There you
So
go.
Clark Cooning, who lives in Canada and is really lonely, he's by himself up there.
It's winter
There's
up
actually,
there.
It's winter up there in
He's
July.
probably snowed in.
He's taking care of his tropical fish.
His wife must be a saint.
He's scanning the illustration we just had on the screen. Jack, you know what? I've been doing all of this tonight, and it's going to keep happening as I give the interview with John Sacerdoti. What's going on? Anything on your mind right now that you want to get off your chest?
Ooh, gee, that not here. No, I don't think so. I mean, I've been just dawdling along, putting kits together, and building some scratch build stuff.
We do have a clinic by you tonight.
We got a clinic tonight. Kind of a short one, but we have a clinic. It'll be good. We got one in the can that we'll go save up.
Right.
I
Shot a couple of them this week.
Yep. So we'll be all set there.
We are also shooting, we're in the process of shooting a video for the page by page for the Cemetery Hill Kit, where we will go through every single page, talk to you about it, what you have to pay attention to, maybe things that really are kind of easy, don't need an explanation, and that will be on the Cemetery Hill part of the website. Hopefully pretty soon. We started doing it the other day, and we simply ran out of time, and it's a big production to do that. You know, there was a story that a reporter asked someone what their favorite book was. It was a celebrity. And the celebrity kind of looked around and he told the reporter, my favorite book's the dictionary. And
It's got every word there ever written in it.
The reporter asked him, why is that? He says, because all the other books are inside of it. Well, if you want to know about Springfield and the Amherst show, we have the dictionary here. He happens to have 2 legs and he likes pasta. And his name is John Sacerdoti, and he's going to be joining us. So if you're going to be going to Springfield, you're going to be able to find out a lot of things. And if you have any questions, don't believe what you see on the internet. Believe it. We have the actual source right here with us tonight. And if you cannot make Springfield but want to know more about it, this is your chance to talk to the actual show director, our one and only guest tonight, because what he's doing is absolutely so intense that we're not going to even have enough time just having one guest. So if we can get a hold of John, Lenny's working on it right now, and let us know when John comes in. If anyone else has any questions, we are monitoring them here. Dan Bigda says, I have some sad news to report. Dan, should we ask you what that sad news
Yeah, I
is?
know. I didn't want to
I
bring
don't
that
like
up.
seeing that.
We got a group that was going to go to Springfield, but can't for some reason. Probably COVID. I think it was COVID, they said. So, yeah, it is pretty high. So, if you got to travel a long distance, it's probably not a great time to do it.
I see we have Tom's trains and things on, and right now I have to step away just long enough to get my headphones in because.
Can you hear us? All right, you want to ask John if he can hear us?
Well, let me do this first, and this is always kind of tricky because it's never as good as it could be. And this is one of the fatal flaws that we are still working at after 1 year. We've been doing this now for a year. We started a year ago with this. I get 2 years. And I don't know. John, can you hear me, buddy? Sometimes this takes a little time. I don't hear anything right now, Lynn.
Yep. 1 second here.
It's always a little tricky, and I am not a tech kind of a guy. So there you have it.
Okay, talk to John now.
Hey, John, you there, buddy?
Hi, I can hear you, but it's very faint.
I can hear you, but it's very faint as well. Guys, can you hear us okay? Because John and I can be faint with each other, but we certainly want to make sure you guys hear everything. Can all of you hear John Sacerdoti okay? That's the question. If you want to type that in, we'd like to hear from you. Lenny, in the meantime, is working on the controls over here. At what point does the mechanics option come up?
If it's a help, when Lenny was
That's the
talking,
plus
it was really
$5
loud
option
and
on
clear.
the Wolfgang.
Okay, Nan, yes, we've got both of you. Yes.
We got both. John, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I know we're both low to each other, but we can get by with this. Right now, you're live, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the Springfield show, and of course, you are the show director, and you've been a director of this show for how long now, sir?
Oh gosh, Artie, I think if I was trying to figure that out the other day, I think this is my 18th show, and I was assistant for a couple of years. So I'm really saying I've been hanging out for about 20 years now.
The largest show. Now, I travel a lot, and we've done a lot of shows, and there's nothing like Springfield right now. At least as far as Bar Mills is concerned, it is the only show that we do, and it is well worth attending. And I want you to tell everybody why. And if anyone has any questions to ask John, this is your time to do it. We're going to monitor him, and we'll see what happens. Okay, John. Let me ask you, how many vendors does it look like you have this year?
Say again, Artie.
What's that, sir?
Just ask me that again. I couldn't hear
You
it.
couldn't hear me. Okay, how many vendors do you have this year?
Oh, thank you. Actually, we're down this year. We usually easily have over 400. I think the 2020 show we had like 420, and we're down to 340 this year. And a big part of that, of course, is COVID. People are just a little bit leery, that kind of thing. But the major part of that is our Canadian friends. We have, already, as you know, probably 25 or so Canadian exhibitors, layouts, laser cut folks, and different parts, 3D printer folks, Rapido, of course, and they are struggling to get across the border. It's been very difficult for them, and it changes weekly, if not daily. So a lot of them have opted out this year just because it's actually expensive, and they don't know what the rules are going to be. And with this new Omicron variant, they're changing the rules as we speak. So we're down mostly a lot of Canadian exhibitors, which I'm sorry to say, but yet we still have some showing up. And we have 21, believe it or not, 21 new exhibitors this year. So everything from layouts, I've got my eye on this new group of N-scalers. It's an N-scale Fremo group. And they'll be showing up along with a couple of hobby stores and a few additional layouts. So I'm looking forward to it.
Now you mentioned COVID, and I think that's foremost on a lot of people's minds. What is the status of the COVID alerts or restrictions or anything along that line? What will you be looking at showtime? What do you think at this point?
Well, as of today, Art, there are no restrictions, and West Springfield is just in that pocket of an area where things are not as crazy as other places. We got our license. We obtained our license for the show on Monday, and that means that's going to happen. But I have what I call a pre-conference meeting on Friday. It's always the first Friday of the year with the folks at Eastern States, home of the Big E. And they will have our meeting and we'll know more. They are saying the worst case, there's going to be a mask mandate for people visiting. So we'll have to wait and see. I will let you know. I've gotten a lot of emails. People say, what's happening? I can tell you this, we will follow the science, we will follow the experts, and whatever the city of West Springfield, whatever the health department of West Springfield, whatever the Commonwealth of Massachusetts says, that's what we're going to do. They will not, as far as I've been told, they will not cancel the show. So on one hand, I've got a bunch of people a little bit leery. All of my staff is fully vaccinated and boosted. We're going to miss a couple floor managers this year because they're not vaccinated. All of my folks are. But we'll wait and see what happens. I think there'll be a mask mandate for exhibitors. I'm sorry, for patrons, not exhibitors. But we'll see what happens, and I'll let you know. To all exhibitors, I've been sending out monthly updates. And we just had one yesterday. And it basically just said what I just was telling everybody. So we'll wait and see. The good news, if you want to take good news from this, is in listening to NPR, I was listening to the equivalent of Fauci in South Africa, and they're on the downward spiral now. So they predict things are going to be back to normal within a week or so. That gives us 4 weeks to, and they're saying we're about 2 to 3 weeks behind. I'm just hoping we see some downward trends here, which they fully expect will happen, and so we'll see what happens. I just hope the timing is right.
Well, let me ask you this: for those of the viewers tonight that are not familiar with the show, why don't you knock off and give me a couple of the more notable folks? Because there are so many smaller modeling companies such as Bar Mills, but you have some pretty major league hitters that attend the show.
Yeah, we do, Art. Thank you. And I include you in that too. And not to be patronizing, you just are. You are my anchor guy in the Young Building, and we look forward to seeing you there every year. But I will say that every manufacturer is generally at this show. The HMA, the Hobby Manufacturers Association, has their annual meeting in my offices upstairs at this show, because everybody's there, and we're talking about, I mean, you name a manufacturer, they are there. And actually this year, we've got folks from the UK coming. We've got a couple of big names from the UK. Hattons, for example, is the equivalent of, they're like I see them as the Walthers of the UK. They're coming, and because they want to introduce a bunch of things to the U.S. market, they want to expand the U.S. market. So they're taking a huge amount of space in the Better Living Center, the BLC, our original building. So they'll be there. And we've got a couple of other smaller exhibitors that are doing really well because they have great products from the UK. And we've got, of course, Rapido, who's still coming regardless. Even though they're based out of Canada, they have offices here in the United States, actually not too far from me. So they'll be there, and Bachman and ScaleTrains.com, and God, I could go on and on and on. Spring Creek, and those are our allied members. They'll all be there, and they are seriously excited. And when I look at our hotel reservations, we've got places that are booked solid, that our room block is full. So I know great things are going to happen. The exhibitors are expecting the crowds to be a little bit lower. Frankly, so am I, to be honest. But the people that come to this show are the people that want to spend. So a lot of our exhibitors are extremely happy and looking forward to what's going to happen. So the only thing we have to worry about now is, once again, the weather. We have to make sure. So far, we've been lucky, knock on wood, but there's been a couple of storms, one today, and there's supposed to be one this weekend coming. Hopefully it'll stay to the south, but we'll see. I start looking at the Farmer's Almanac right around now to see what the weather's going to be like a month out. They're the only ones who try to tell you anyways.
I lost the sound. He is. No? John, are you? You know what? I'm on a delay. I'm thinking that you're talking and I'm not hearing you. Let me ask you this. Now, I know for a fact, for the guys that are into the, some big displays, some really cool stuff, you have the folks from Bachman, the folks from Digitrax, North Coast Engineering. Companies like Walters kind of meld into the wallpaper there. It's just not what they're about. But there are some very big manufacturers. If you're into the Craftsman kits, we are, and someone asked if we'll be in our normal spot in the Young Building, and yes, we will. But you have the Better Living Building, which is one of the original buildings of the whole exposition, and you'll have Foscale there, and Carolina Trains, Carolina Craftsman Kits, and a bunch of others that are equally as well known as Bar Mills. And so if you're a craftsman builder, you'll have a lot of chance to meet a lot of manufacturers and maybe learn a little bit more about each of our lines in person. And for the 20, I expect about 20,000 attendance typically. I think over the couple days. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but for anyone who's ever been to an NMRA National Convention, Springfield just dwarfs the heck out of that convention, and that's considered like a really milestone convention. If you haven't been to Springfield it's like missing Disney. It's like missing a trip to Disney. Anybody, any other high rollers coming in, John, that are doing something maybe a little special or a little different this year?
Well, yeah, there's a few things. We believe it or not, we have a certified railroad circus clown, and while that sounds funny, that clown Maggie, she actually lived on the Ringling Brothers train for 3 years. Can you imagine living on a half-mile long train for 3 solid years? And anyway, she's there, and she is truly a great performer, and she has a following that come to the show just to see her. I think it's crazy, but the kids are free anyway, so it really doesn't matter. So we've got that. And I'm looking forward to some of the new layouts this year, which are really interesting because that's my favorite thing to do. I'm not a big rail fan person. I want to go to somebody's layout and I want to ask them 1,000 questions. How did you do that? How did you build that? How did you make that? I think when I went to George Celios's, I think I drove him crazy. Artie, when I was up to see your N scale layout, I was amazed at all of the things. I remember you asking you 8,000 questions, and I took so many pictures of your city scenes because they were so well detailed and that kind of thing. So we've got a lot of that going on. There's a travel agent that people don't even know that specializes in trips on railroads. And all they do is specialize in taking trips, Amtrak, the Canadian Railway. And they put all of these trips together. We actually had our raffle 2 years ago through them. And they put together a dandy trip down to Horseshoe Curve and a couple of the hotels that are right by there. And it turned into a really cool trip for people. And it worked out quite well. So there's all of those kinds of people, but there's new exhibitors there this year that have new product that I can't wait to see. So still more of my favorites, my guys that return. Artie, you always have a new kit, and I'm always interested in coming over to check it out. But other than that, I think we're pretty much the same. I can tell you that we're taking a rest from the Wiscasset, Waterville, and Farmington steam locomotive. This is a good year for them to rest. Actually, the boiler is all apart. And they're working on it, so they're going to bring something in exchange. We have a couple of hand cars coming down, and they'll be right in the Better Living Center. So we've got still a lot in store for everybody there.
Well, we had someone, Mark Hagan, ask what are the origins of the show. I guess he's wondering why January. How long has this been going on in January, and was this ever held any other time of the year?
It's only once a year, Art, and it really. I play games with the dates, and not big games. And all I'm saying is I stay away from the Super Bowl, and I really got myself in a little bit of trouble this year. We're booked 3 years out. And I always try to watch when the Super Bowl is going to be. So it was supposed to be I think it was supposed to be the weekend after the 29th and 30th. But the NFL, as many of you know, extended the season by an extra game. So it pushed the NFC AFC Championship game on Sunday of our show. Now, the game is not until 6:30. The second game is 6:30. The first game is 3. So set your VCR so you can tape it if you're going to be at the show. But I've been watching, and of course, the Patriots just secured a playoff berth last night. So and that's always a difficult one. But it's once a year. It's always. I try to make it the last weekend in January, but I float it just before the Super Bowl. I honestly, I blew it this year because they changed the date, and our date was already locked in with a deposit, as you can imagine. So I'm trying to do something about it for next year, and we should be back to the weekend between the NFC AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. This year, because they extended the season, I fell on the championship games. But what are you going to do? To me. As long as the Pittsburgh Steelers are not in it, because my wife grew up in Pittsburgh, I'm good. So I don't worry too much about it, and I can set my DVR. So so we're okay. But it's always only once a year. And it's in January, Art. A lot of people say, John, why is it in the middle of the winter? And it's in the middle of the winter because we kick the whole season off with this train show. I mean, this is the beginning of the season, beginning of the calendar year as well. But we have a lot of folks that have product release at this show. ScaleTrains.com, Athearn, all having product release. And Bar Mills is probably going to have a product release at this show too. So that's why I like this show. Next year, we're actually doing some research. We're going to have, I think the night before the show, a major press release of product, new product, and we're going to film it and record it and have a film ready for the following year. This year, Virtual Railfan is going to be streaming live in all of the buildings. I say last year, but the last show, they were live in one building. They had over 100,000 viewers over the weekend of the show. It blew away all their numbers of all their cameras. And they're going to have a streaming camera in all of the buildings, 3 stationary and then 1 roving to go around and interview folks and all that kind of stuff. So they'll be streaming night and day. So it'll be cool. You get to watch the show at night and you get to see the night guards with the dogs and all of that stuff. If they are staying live overnight. I think they are. We'll see.
Well, you know what, John? I'm going to start wrapping this up. We did have a kind of an unusual question. He asked you a question, John. He says, John, do you have any open tables? But listen to this first, okay? I have a 100% remote over the internet operated time saver switching puzzle that would be fun to have at the show. Odd question, but you know, these things are interesting. So do you have a response for this fella?
Listen, Artie, thanks for saying that. Usually the show is full every single year, but because of the circumstances, it's not full this year. So I have free tables, not many. The last time I did the calculations, the show is 96 me and my geeky numbers, because I used to be in computers. We're 96 point something, I forget now. Not quite 97% full. But I do have a couple of tables. So if people are interested and want to come either to sell their goods or set up a time saver or a switching puzzle, call me or email me. If you go to railroadhobbyshow.com, my email address, my phone number, direct dial right to my office is there. So that's railroadhobbyshow.com.
Okay, John, look, I'm going to let you go because it's about that time. We have a couple questions we have to discuss with folks who are writing in that don't necessarily involve the show. I would look forward to seeing you. And for those of you who don't know this, Jack Ellis here runs clinics. We have a 10-foot by 20-foot area that if you'd like to meet Jack and go to one of his clinics, he appears with us at the show every single year. We have a tent full of tables and a video presentation.
Under the big top.
Under the big top. And that's all going to be set up. John, I'm going to say goodnight to you, sir, right now. And I know we talk quite a bit. We'll be talking to you soon enough. Okay, pal?
Okay, Artie, thanks. It's always great talking to you. I'll see you in less than a month. Take care,
Bye-bye,
my friend.
John. Okay. Let's get back to us here. We have a couple things here that we should really go over. And the big thing is, honestly, Jack does give clinics constantly at the show, and you can meet Jack in person, and not just this wax statue of him that is sitting next to me here. Jack does have, we're running late tonight, so maybe we shouldn't spend too much time on this, but someone asked here, where did you find Jim Mooney? He is such a wonderful designer. Jim Mooney was introduced to me by Frank Bernard, who many of you know from this broadcast. And Jim lives in Maryland, and him and I have been.
Did Jim write in again?
What's that?
Did Jim write in again?
No, Jim didn't write. This is not Jim writing.
Oh.
Jim and I have been thick as thieves. He's just like, so important to the company. A lot of people, they look at me as the figurehead, which I am. I'm like the figurehead in front of the ship that gets all the waves while these guys sit on the ship. But without these guys on the ship steering,
Say that really fast.
no, I wouldn't say that. But the guys that really make this company run are Len, our production manager here, who runs the camera, Jack Ellis, of course, Jim Mooney, my wife Nancy. Also, we have Frank Bernard, and we have input from him and a fellow on occasion, Raul Perez, and Daryl Huffman right now is doing a little something for us. Dick Billings is another fellow who works with us. So we are very fortunate to have I am like a very lucky orchestra conductor. And the fact that this has been going on so long, there is honestly a lot more behind me than in front of me with Barn Mills right now as we enter our 23rd year. I'm hoping to do 25. It'd be nice to have the company going for a quarter of a century. And we'll see what happens, and hopefully we'll all be here for that. And at that point, we'll see what happens. But until then, I plan on doing the best I can. And of course, Jack and Jim and the rest of us are committed to all of this. We are going to do.
We're committed, all right.
We're committed. We're going to do a clinic tonight, and it's going to be on. I know it sounds boring.
Very well. Reinforcements.
Reinforcements.
Yeah.
We're doing
Bracing.
Bracing. You know, it seems like an odd clinic to talk about bracing. But there are so many models entering this part of the hobby and there's so many model companies that really kind of avert and ignore bracing totally, that you don't get it in the kits, that it's not mentioned in the instructions. And how many of you have been through that, where you put something together, it warps up, looks like crap, and then all you can do is go, maybe this isn't the hobby for me. We don't want to see that happen. So it's important not only that we include bracing, but that we stress the importance of it. So Jack has put together a clinic tonight up on that. Right, Jack? We'll be right here.
I'm told.
So you're told. We'll be here for a few minutes after this clinic. It runs about 8 minutes long. And if you have any other questions or have specific questions for Jack, let us know. It's running a little long, but we're missing February, so what the heck? Let's do this and do it right. So Len, can you run that tape?
Hi, this is Jack again. We're going to do a small little clinic today about bracing. Everybody says optional bracing. Well, optional bracing, there is no optional bracing. You need to brace almost everything that you're going to build. We're going to do it to prevent warping when you put weathering on it, or whether you're going to let it sit in your basement. You want to make it so it's strong and won't warp at any time. All right, I'm going to talk about bracing walls first. What I want you to do is make sure you look at the kit instructions. Sometimes they show you exactly where they want the bracing to go. And then there's some gaps in different places. They're made so when the corners go together, they're going to fit together right. So if you look on this particular one, this happens to be Downtown Garage, HO. We've got gaps on the corners here. It tells you here you want a 1/4-inch gap. But then you're going to run into gaps like the one that's right here, where a wall or a ceiling or a roof goes in, that you need that gap. So you want to go by the directions for the bracing that they show you in the kit. You can alter them a little if you have to later on. You can trim them up. You got to be careful, but it's best to go right by the directions in the first place. So after you've gone over the layout of the bracing, you want to make sure that all the bracing is also the same size. Depending upon which scale you're using, it will depend upon the size of the bracing. For HO, we use 5/32, but there is also times when we use a smaller bracing for a smaller application where we don't have quite as much room. So if you take our standard bracing, comes like this is what it looks like, and then you're going to cut it to your sizes and glue it right onto your wall sections. The best way to do is clamp it in with a yellow glue and let them dry good before you start playing around with them, and then you can move on to the next step. Talking about clamps, they're essential, I think, when you're putting these together. It's going to make your glue dry a little quicker too, because if you can clamp them tight together, the glue cures a little bit better. We have a bunch of little clamps here. These small little spring clamps you can get almost anywhere. Like Harbor Freight sells them for $20 for $5. They come with a couple of big ones in it. Then there's some larger ones, a little stronger ones. Art likes these, I think they're document clips, like you can buy them, they make great clamps. Then you can get a bar clamp like this that works out pretty well. The reason I like these bar clamps is because right here is a 90 degree. If I'm gonna try to keep a building square, I can slide this in and get it tight and still keep it square. Let's talk about our bracing and how we're going to cut our bracing. If you're working in like N scale, a single razor blade or a knife, a number 11 blade will do. You can probably cut them very easily. When you get into the larger scales, HO and O, you're going to either have to use a razor saw, which is a very fine tooth blade, or if you get into some of the bigger stuff, you can actually get down to use either a bandsaw or a chop saw. It's the easiest way sometimes when that bracing gets much larger. If you want to cut multiple ones, if you want to have like 6, I have 4 here, I want them all the same size. What I did is I bundled together with a flat end. I'll mark where I want them to cut, then I'll cut the whole bundle and they'll all be exactly the same size. So that's a quick way to do a bunch of them. An additional piece to bracing is I like to use gussets. That keeps my corners square. It makes for a very strong laterally piece. In this piece, you can see we added some gussets here in the corners and the bracing here, which makes this piece of stonework that goes on the bottom of a foundation extremely strong. And I know it's square. So what you do is take some of this is mat board, same stuff they use for doing pictures, and I'll cut it in rectangles like this, real simple. Just make sure that this is a right angle. Sometimes you're going to have to cut one that goes in a corner, but it has a corner post, so you're going to cut them so they look like that. And then it's just going to go in the corner like this. And you're going to have to, like this one, we put little supports in to hold it. And now it's very strong. Now, if I had a post, say we had a post in here like this, then if I put my gusset in, so I'm looking at the one that we have the cutout, it will go in like that, and it will go around the gusset. Now that makes that very, very strong. This is a very strong structure. If you look at this building, this little building here, you can see what we did with it. I put one here, and I put one here, and now I know the building is square, and it's very strong this way. So very simple. Gussets, they don't cost you much. I mean, if anything, they're white glued in. A little extra bracing, and that's all you need to do. I'm going to talk quick about placing bracing on a wall. If my bracing is going to come to the very end of the wall, and I'm going to have it go to the end of the wall so when my other piece goes into it, I'm going to take it, I'm going to stand it up on a flat surface, I'm going to put my glue on it, I'm going to take this piece, and I'm going to push it in real tight like that. And once it's tight and with the glue on it, I can then hold it for a second, it'll kind of set up a little bit, I'll put my clamps on either end, and when I'm done, these two pieces will be perfectly lined up, not sticking out or sticking in. They're going to keep it nice and flat, and it's easy to give it a little sand and you're done. So that's a quick way to do them on the corners. Yeah, after you've applied the piece to the corner, the edge of the wall, what you want to do is make sure that these two surfaces, your bracing and your wall, are completely flat. And the easiest way to do it is either with a sanding stick where you run it across this way a couple times and get it smooth, or you can take a regular sheet on a flat piece. That's why I like to work on glass. And I'll just run it back and forth a couple times, and I'll find out that I'll get it nice and flat. So there's no difference between this, the bracing piece, and the wall. Well, that's kind of a quick overview on bracing. That's not all everything, but it's a couple of hints we've been able to do and tricks to do it. Go by your directions. Look at your directions in your for your particular kit. There's no rule that you can't add more bracing. I always add more bracing. I like bracing around my bottom, especially if I'm going to glue it down to a deck or something like that. So don't worry about adding more bracing. You can use material that you have around. Just glue it on and butter it really smooth as you can and make it look good from the inside. I like to paint the inside of my houses black anyway, so it kind of hides it all. So that's what we're talking about today, is just adding bracing. Bracing is not an option. Remember, you must have it, because if not, If it doesn't warp when you put your liquid on it, it could warp later in the basement if you have any kind of moisture at all. So that's for today's little tips and hints, and we're glad to see you later. So long.
And we're back, and Jack has some questions from a few folks. Jack, what do you got going on, buddy?
Well, I think it's Jim asked about
Jim Mooney.
No. First off, somebody asked what a gusset is. And a gusset is just a strengthener for the corner. You're creating, instead of two little pieces coming in at an angle like this, you're putting a triangle in there, which triangles, if you know, is the strongest shape that's ever been made. So you use triangles in the corners to strengthen them. Someone else asked about the magnetic clamps. The magnetic trays are kind of cool with the clamps that slide in to make them, to hold them in place while you let your glue dry and keep it square. Then they work really well. For me, it's a little bit bulky. I don't have much room on my tabletop usually to get them in, but they do work well. They do keep it square, and they're very versatile, so they work real well. Let's see. I don't know if I have anything else.
We got a lot of thumbs up, which is nice.
Yeah, that's very nice. Just remember, you can always add a little bit more bracing, especially if I'm going to glue my building down to a platform or something like that. I like to put my bracing across the bottom, so I don't have to just glue to that little, thin thickness of your wall siding. It gives me a little more bite and holds them together. My stuff travels, it goes here and there. So when I make them for bar mills, I try to make them a bit stronger. You probably don't need all of it, but it works really well for me what I'm building them for. So
I find myself also using scrap wood, and because we have our workshop here and we have saws and everything, cutting up additional bracing, especially for the larger kits like the O-scale kits. And it's very cheap that way because it's just scrap wood that you've recycled into something that you're not going to see. It doesn't have to look pretty, but it's going to make a big difference in your modeling, down the road especially.
Yeah, one thing I ran into putting our bracing into the corners, sometimes they overlap a window. You can actually take the window opening and cut the bracing back a little bit right where the window is, and it works pretty well, and paint it black, you'll never see it. So if it does go over the window a little bit, don't worry about it, just trim it out and then paint it black, and you'll never see it.
On a closing note, which is not a happy closing note, Dan Bigda mentioned Tim Gilman. Now, Tim's a good customer of ours. He probably was on a lot of groups, I would imagine. I don't personally go in chat rooms and groups, but I'm sure so many of you do. You may know the name Tim Gilman, but he passed away. And it's a hard way to start a new year, and it's just the way it is sometimes. Anyhow, may he rest in peace, Tim Gilman. And for that, for myself and Nancy, for Jack, for Lenny, for Jack, for Jim, for sure, who's having his own circumstance right now, a difficult time.
Best wishes, Jim.
Best wishes, Jim. Jim lost his mom on Friday, so we almost called us off tonight, but as it worked out, here we are. We appreciate all of your support for all these years. We will be missing February on this, okay? And you can write to me in Mexico. and Jack will be freezing his Chickasaw up here.
I think you should just write to the federal government about him getting back in the country. Just give them a description of him. They'll get him at the border. It'll be into him.
I like Taco Bell.
Oh yeah. You're gonna have to really like it.
And anyhow, we're gonna see you soon. Don't forget, we have those two kits plus the telephone poles we're working on, and we actually have other kits that we're working on, and we will get to those with you in March. By the way, what we did not mention was if you get Railroad Model Craftsman, the January issue, which I don't know if it's out yet. Has done exactly what we did in the December issue and included a 24-page insert of what's going to be in the show. So if you have Railroad Model Craftsman, you have something to look forward to. If you don't have it, you should. We love that magazine, and we love all the magazines, but Railroad Model Craftsman has been very good to us. Okay. So Happy New Year to all of you from Bar Mills. Thanks for stopping by. Good seeing you, buddy. Let's have another year of this.
Yeah.
All right.